Hey, what's up, y'all? You know what time it is. Your boy Jeffrey L. Boney here for another edition of Trending Tuesdays, brought to you live here in Sunnyside, Houston, Texas, at the K. Davis Showroom. Plus, we got our live studio audience in the building. Make some noise. Yeah, man. We're going to have a great conversation, as always, here on Trending Tuesdays. Have some outstanding guests to talk about some very important subject matter on today. First of all, a couple of things I want to just talk about briefly before we jump into it. Governor Greg Abbott finally decided that he was going to play politics and not play politics anymore by setting the special election date for November of this year versus the time frame he could have done so, which would have been in May. So you're going to have individuals in the congressional district, 18th congressional district, without representation until not just November, because I'm assuming with the number of people that are going to be in that race, it'll probably go into a runoff, which will push it again to December, meaning that they won't get sworn in until late 2025, maybe the beginning of January of 2026. So, I'm excited about the fact that a date has been set, because he could have actually pushed it and punted it till the following year, 2026, May or November. But, he could actually call an emergency election if he wanted to and have that election. But nonetheless, the date has been set, November of 2025. And there are going to be individuals, I'm sure, that have already announced, and also folks coming out of the woodworks to run for this very, very important position and seat that's been held by people in our community that many revere. Barbara Jordan, Craig Washington, of course, Sheila Jackson Lee, Mickey Leland, and even for a short stint, Erica Lee Carter, who served to finish out her mom's term. So anyway, very, very, very important date being set and a decision being made. So I'm sure the people in the 18th Congressional District will choose wisely once that time comes. So that's very important. I want to share that. Another thing, our beloved Houston Cougars fell short 65-63, a heartbreaking loss on last night. I watched that, man. I just knew we were going to pull it off. And I say we because I'm H-Town. I didn't go to University of Houston. However, they represent H-Town, and Third Ward High is what was it, Case Keenum, I think, said when he was playing quarterback. So anyway, they fell short. And, the other thing of importance that I wanted to share with you is something relative to an executive order that the president, I know it's been so many executive orders that have come down the pipe from this one, but this one is called the Restoring Truth and Sanity to American History executive order. And a lot of things, this is very important, and it kind of is going to be a somewhat segue into our conversation on today, because it's centered around this attack, I call it an attack, on the history in our country. Black history is American history. And so a lot of our history has never really been truly woven into the textbooks, into American history, into our museums, into our artwork, into our poetry, into our books, our literature, what the students study in college as well as high school, pre-K. And anyway, this is very, very disturbing, and I think it's something, because this DEI push to eliminate or attack or address it, which has become this buzzword. I remember Lee Atwater, who was the advisor for former President Richard Nixon. He was doing an interview one time, and he talked about you can't use the N-word anymore. He said this on an interview. He said you can't use the N-word, so you have to use phrases and words that mean the N-word, but you can't say it. So you use states' rights, you use busing, and you use things that when you say it, the people that are hearing it, they hear the dog whistle and they know that you're saying N, but you really are using these words as that buzzword. So they're using words now. Kind of fast forward, woke, the woke culture. You hear them talk about that. You hear critical race theory. And of course, now you hear about this DEI. And so with the DEI, when it was first talked about, it was about federal jobs. Now it's talking about grants and it's programs and anything that has these words in them that this president says are offensive and that are an attack on American history. And so he passed this executive order, signed it into law, restoring sanity to American history. Think about it. Restoring truth and sanity to American history. So whose truth? What sanity? What American history do we want to highlight? So there's an attack now on the Smithsonian African American Museum. He wants to remove all of the components of the African American Museum that highlight and talk about slavery. I don't know if anyone's ever been to the African American Museum in D.C. It's an outstanding, wonderful museum, and it chronicles and highlights our journey here to America and to present. However, he wants to remove that because that is not truth. That is not sane as part of our American history. So he wants to restore sanity and truth to American history. We all know what that means, right? That's another conversation for another day. But speaking about DEI, there's also this push and attack to try to address the contracting aspects of America. You know, there's a lot of MWBE programs out here. A lot of these, from the original onset, were set to help African Americans, particularly who had been disenfranchised, and minorities to try to get contract opportunities. And so there are a lot of organizations and entities out here who have done a great job of trying to promote everyone being included, having a piece of the pie, if you will. And so to talk about some of these things today as it relates to DEI and equity, particularly as it relates to money and finance and contracting opportunities, I have none other than my good friend and frat brother, J. Goodwill Pierre, and he is here. Let's give him a round of applause, y'all.
What's up? What's up? What's up?
And he'll tell you a lot more of who he is and what he's doing, and we'll get into some of that. And of course, we also have from now the Houston-Galveston Area Council. She's done so many things, but she's with HGAC. I happen to serve on the board of HGAC, and I'm excited about that, but she's not here because of me. She's here because of the great work that she does as the principal program coordinator for enterprise solutions at HGAC, Christina Cornelius. Let's give her a round of applause, y'all. Oh, y'all can do better than that. All right, let's get into it. You heard what I had to say, Goodwill. So let's talk about it. I mean, is there an attack on MWE programs, and what is going on to try to enforce MWBA programs? I know you deal with this on a regular basis.
Yeah, I've dealt with this for about over 30 years. So in response to your question, my retort or my question to you is, when has there not been an attack? My wife and I had a conversation this morning. We've been talking a lot about what's going on, and one of the things, because this is in my world, in my field, the reality is that African Americans in 2003, 2004, it's recorded they only got 1.7% of federal contracting, even with DEI. We didn't invent DEI. Black people didn't invent DEI, didn't invent the acronym, didn't invent affirmative action. It was created for us in order to comply with case law, Supreme Court ruling. And so my wife and I said, you know, this is going to be a time for a reset for Black Americans. As you know, I've been part of many disparity studies, probably over about 10 disparity studies inside the government entity and also as a consultant. And one of the things that is clear, African Americans, their disparity is so wide that the inclusion of other minorities with African Americans brings all the minorities to disparity, even when certain ethnic groups are apart. And there have been lawsuits filed against the city of Houston, 2023, lawsuit filed against Harris County in February of this year, and very few people know about it. Even the media doesn't kind of broadcast it. And most of the people who do this, like Pacific Legal Foundation, who filed both lawsuits, and Students Against Fair Admission, Students for Fair Admissions, that's a Harvard case that kind of started it all, just like back then, the University of California, Baki. I can talk about this for years and probably put you to sleep, you know, with legal scholarly thing, but the point is that what the history and everything like that, we've been expecting, we've been relying. Now, mind you, I think we should keep fighting. I think that we can walk and chew gum at the same time. And you should not fight for something that we believe that we not only deserve, but is our right. You know, we the people, this is our right. At the same time, we have to reset and review the things that we thought may have worked, and because of the company we're in, we're afraid to say that it did not work, like integration, like
So-called integration.
yeah, well, forced integration, let's put it that way.
Forced integration.
Like this whole thing about people talking about history. Well, we used to have Saturday schools. You know, in the church, that's where we learned our history. And so there needs to be, I think this is an opportunity, just like a lot of challenges in our community, has been an opportunity for us to gather, and for those organizations and groups who we pay a lot of dues to, whether it be the Black Chambers, or whether it be NACP, I'm a life member of NACP, or whether it be 100 Black Men. I pay a lot of dues to a lot of organizations. We need to just come and do some of the self-training, self-service, bring back into the community, and use this opportunity to kind of grow from within and create a program from within that helps to educate and raise our children so they can know their history. We don't have to rely on a group of individuals who never wanted us to be equal to them in the first place to provide us with the antidote for the sickness of racism. We had to provide that own antidotes. Now, before then, we weren't doctors or anything like that, so we relied on people to provide the antidote. A paper that I wrote that's going to be a book very soon, I wrote in 2020. The title is going to shock you. It's called "The Law Giveth, the Law Taketh Away, the Lynching of Affirmative Action in America." And everything that I talked about, the citations and everything like that, it stopped with the Michigan school case, Gruger, I think, and Hopwood. But I predicted what was going to happen this current time. Never did I think that it would actually happen, or we saw another evolution or whatever of the same thing that happened from University of California, Bakke, which is an education case, to Adirondack, everything like that, that started affirmative action, to now with the Harvard case and North Carolina law school case, all the way down to what's going on in Kentucky, what's going on in the city of Houston, all the lawsuits. It's happening again. But this time, they're using it a different way to say affirmative action is racist. They're saying that what we assume that we are socially disadvantaged. How do you know that? And so I'll stop there. But
you bring up some great points. But Christina, I know that you deal with an entity that disperses funds or interacts with the public. Can you talk about some of the things that you see? Because I know you are over this small business loan revolving loan fund, and so I'm sure that you see some of the individuals that are impacted or in need of resources that come through your doors and programs. So what are your thoughts on the overall conversation?
I think that you hit the nail on the head with community. We need to bring it back to our community. Every other group of people keeps their dollar within their community. They stay at home for generations to help establish that wealth and establish that footing for when they leave home. And we have lost sight of that. And most of it is because what was programmed and fed to us, what was portrayed as right. And even today, as we see with this administration, we still struggle with that. I did a training in the Woodlands Community Development Institute, and it was a group of diverse people, and DEI came up, even though that's like taboo. You can't say it anymore. And there was a white gentleman at my table, and I asked him if he felt like DEI takes away from his opportunities. And he said, well, I'm probably the most privileged person in this room as a white man, but I don't know. And the question stuck with him because he had never considered it, because it's not his challenge. It's not something he has to face day to day. But he came back at the end of the class and said, I think I gave a bad answer, and I don't feel like the opportunity is being taken away from me if there's a DEI opportunity, and even if the person is less qualified, there are hundreds of years that person has been on an anchor. We're never gonna catch up. So part of me feels like we should stop trying, and we just need to come together as communities, develop these ecosystem hubs where we have our own doctors that care, where we have teachers that care, and really revitalize those old time places like Fifth Ward and Sunnyside that used to thrive.
Well, you know, one of the questions, though, first of all, I think that's necessary and good. Remember, we have to do not just parallel tracks, but multi-different tracks, Jeff. And one of the things that is hard for us to look at, especially, I'm going to say folks like us, black folks like us, all kind of people, you know, the Jack and Jills, the sorority folks, the different things. And we paint a large brush. And we accept things because that's what we're told to accept in order not to be called this or that or uncle this or that. The question I have is, what is community now? I have found when I look back at the history that the one thing that unites us is something bad. Whenever a person gets beat by cops, whenever someone gets shot, you know, then all of a sudden everyone now says, okay, black is beautiful, let's go ahead and rally. But other than that, you know, if you go to the hood and try to be in common with someone selling crack, you ain't gonna be, I mean, you could talk a good game, but you don't know them. And I'm from the South Bronx. I'm far removed from the South Bronx. I was born and raised, ate government cheese, know what it smelled like, okay? The best grilled cheese I've ever had. But now I have 4 degrees, 2 home loans later in student loans, and I'm far removed. I can go back and forth. I can code switch to like everyone. But what is the community? And who are you really helping?
And who wants to be helped?
And then who evaluates if they want to be helped? See, there's so many, you know, there's so many things being thrown at us now. I think finally, one of the things that this great philosopher, I wish I could think of Rick Ross. This great philosopher, Rick Ross, the first time Trump got elected, I wish I could remember the exact words he used, but he said he's glad that Trump lost because sometimes black people got to do something in order to rise. It was something he said. It was so prophetic. And what's happening is now I think we're realizing the amount of bullets that are being thrown at us at the same time, and it's going so fast that at least for me, our traditional civil rights leaders and things of that nature can't keep up. Besides Al Sharpton, we're playing catch up, and we've been playing catch up for a while. So, but I don't think I'm not naive to think that we should not try.
Right.
I think that we should. You know, back then there were people that said either this or that. And I think, especially with AI, there are ways in which we can do multiple things and divide and conquer. But as long as we don't divide ourselves, and that's going to be the challenge, because of what you said, to wrap it back to you said, it's the vision of ourselves. It's the vision of ourselves within ourselves, as well as the vision. I'll say one last thing. We talked about National Forum for Black Public Administrators before the start of the show. And one of the things that we should kind of pivot is before, when DEI and affirmative action came about, there were very little of us in those places making decisions, who get contracts. When I worked for the airport, I've been on probably hundreds of RFP committees. And I made decisions, not only based on qualifications, but also culturally based on what would be a good fit for the project. I was able to do that based on my reference. And yes, I tried my best to make sure some people who looked like us was there. I did, okay? There was other people who looked like me that didn't. And they were members of the National Forum of Black Public Administrators. And one of the things that we could do now, because there's more of us in Harris Health, and what you call it, is educate them, because one of the things, if we have time to get there, is a problem with affirmative action now. Not only are people saying it's racism and trying to get rid of it, but the people who are in place to help us, that look like us, because of they're not going to get fired or anything like this, mess it up.
Well, you know what? It's so interesting you bring that up, because I was just watching an episode of, I started, first I didn't know if I would like this show, because when I heard the name, all I could think about was Denzel Washington, the movies, The Equalizer.
Yeah.
But there was a show that was on CBS called The Equalizer that featured Queen Latifah.
I love that show.
I don't know if you saw it.
I love that show.
Well, there was this one episode that I had just got through watching where Queen Latifah's daughter in the show is finally excited. She gets this internship at this high profile, place, and she's excited.
Oh, the clothing things.
Yeah,
and like that,
yeah.
right?
She's
Okay.
excited to work at this clothing boutique, high-end clothing
Yeah.
store, and she's just excited to be sales and do all of these things. But the one
Sister.
other sister that's there talks to the manager who's white, and I don't know if you saw this episode, but she talks to the manager who's white. She comes back and says, "Okay, yeah, you're gonna be working in the back, like in the stock room." And she's like, "In the stock room? Like, why would I be working in the stock room? I thought the internship said that I would do this." Well, come to find out, because she had braids and her natural hair, she was told she couldn't be on the floor because it was kind of based out of France, Paris, and so the hair needed to be straight. So the black girl's hair was straight, and she looked the part, if you will.
Right.
And so when the daughter came back to confront the white manager, and the other lady, that like the general manager came over, she was like, "Well, she's racist, and she, don't want me to work on that. She want me to work in the stock room." So the other white lady was like, "Is this true?" Like, she wasn't racist, but she was just trying to figure out, is this true? And then the black girl had an opportunity
And didn't do it.
to say, yeah, the lady was racist, but because she said this out of her own mouth, "I got student loans to pay, I need this job, and if I don't comply, go along to get along, then they're gonna fire me, and what else am I gonna do?" So the girl felt guilty, shows up to the Queen Latifah's daughter house with her natural hair, off work. She has her natural hair, and she made this quirk like, nice hair. And so she tried to explain to her that, in this position, you need to stand up for your own. And she was like, "Look, man, I got to take care of these bills. I got to do this. You don't understand." She said, "No, I understand." She said, "Well, hopefully you'll come to your senses and look out for the next black person, that you come across, or somebody will do it for you." So my point in that is, there are a lot of people that are afraid of losing their good job, their good job, good corporate job, good government job, government good pension. They got bills to pay. They got to take care of them kids. And I understand that. There is a reality to a large degree, but to what point? Are we really willing to sacrifice and to stand up for those that are in need of us to stand up for them? And I'm talking about in all fields. And you talked about goodwill. You talked about division. There's a lot of division within the African American community, but even
by design.
Well, I don't know if it's all by design, but I think that just systematically, you have a lot of things going. We're all members of the Divine Nine, and so within our own organizations, in the Divine Nine, there is division. There's separation. There's colorism, or some socioeconomic challenges and differences and politics that are involved that separate us from our overall goals. Yeah, we do community service projects, but are we really moving the needle in this country with the power that we have, with our finances, with our expertise, with our positions of power? And then you look at the church. There's division within the church. And not only one church, I'm talking about multiple churches. You got, when Dr. King came to Birmingham, Alabama,
The churches didn't want him there.
the black ministers didn't
Yeah.
want him there. Some of the black preachers didn't want him there and spoke out against him. There was even one black minister who had a radio program that was a national program, who constantly spoke out against Dr. King and berated him. But it was come to find out he was an informant to the FBI, and he was getting paid to be this sellout, individual. You talk about, we may be in members of Eastern Star, the Masonic Order, or we may be a part of the NAACP. So it's so many areas in which we have all of this historical and institutional knowledge and power, but what does it mean right now, modern day? Okay, we can't live off of what happened when the NAACP was founded and all the great work that they did leading up to today. We're in a real-time situation right now. And you think about these contracts, you think about HUD. They just severed all of the individuals at HUD. You know who benefits from HUD? Black people. When it comes to housing, the CDBG program, Community Development Block Grant.
Let me correct you. Who benefits from HUD the most, which is the same people who benefits from food stamp the most, and it is poor white people.
Well, yeah, they do, but I'm talking about those. We're talking about our community, though. Our community benefits from HUD, and so whether it's Section 8 or
housing
in general. So I'm just saying that we need.
I've
to
lost
look
all
at
my
that.
contracts as well. That I mean, that was one of my that made the pivot. That's what I was doing, compliance Section 3, and a lot of that. That's, you know, and I do the thing on federal side, but for the local side, I finished my last community development block grant compliance project.
We, in Fifth Ward, we have a program. The Worth program is a collaborative with Avenue CDC, the Tejano Center. It's under LISC. It's one of the Wells Fargo grants. And the goal was to create 5,000 BIPOC homeowners by 2026.
Explain what BIPOC is. I know what it is, but you know, people need to.
Essentially, black and brown people.
People of color.
People of color. But we cannot use BIPOC anymore. Not because we're going to lose a grant, but if Wells Fargo is giving money to this program, the president might go after Wells Fargo. They're going after corporations.
This is the last year for it anyway, so it don't matter.
You're right. We're making an impact, though.
Yeah, no, impact. And I'm glad you said the impact. You know, let's talk about impact. She made a great point. You know, remember I said a reset? This is really going to either bring out the new scholars that have been held back because people don't want to get out of their positions, new politicians, or is going to cause us to go back in a hole. Going back to your Queen Latifah analogy, this is the white woman's shop. And they cater to white women. Now, if you wanted more black people there, then you have a contract, but they cater to white women or women from European. Let's put it European. Let's take the race out of it. European women. So it could have been a black person from Europe, you know, European. I used to work for the federal government, and now I work for myself. And I have 7 African-American women and 1 white woman who says, from Louisiana, who says the only thing white on me is my skin. And they work for me, and they could have, their hair could be anywhere they want. They could dress any way they want except to go to court. And they are living in their truth. In my office, because I'm an African-American man. I have 4 business, I live to pay them, but I resolved that is my life and I love it, okay? They could bring their children in and sit down and work. As long as they get their work done, Ed could come in my office and do whatever he wants, you know what I mean? And I pay for their insurance, but I don't have to, less than 25 people, and I love it because I'm empowering some sisters to go the next level. We have savings plans. I'm teaching them. Everyone in my office is required to have an LLC, even though they're working for me. So in case something happened to me, they're not out. You know, they know how to survive. And that is what I decided to do for myself, to train folks and make sure that they have a way to make that money, know how I make the money. Mm-hmm. And so, but that's my office. That's owned by an African American, and I choose to go into my neighborhood and help small and minority women-owned businesses do things that they couldn't afford to do if they went for a regular majority firm. It was my choice. So the Queen Latifah thing is, you know, we got to realize that this is not ours.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't have the power, because it's not about DEI or acronyms, it's about the power. And we have to not get distracted by alphabet soup letters going all over the place when we didn't even invent that alphabet soup.
Right.
We have to come to an understanding that we have to own our own and understand that what does it mean to own our own? Sometimes we thinking that having $1 million in the bank is okay until all of a sudden you get a lawsuit and they stop that. So what can you do to own your own, and what does it look like?
But you know, that's an interesting point that you bring up, because I was having this conversation the other day, and I was talking about Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma, mm-hmm. Rosewood, Florida, and various other.
Before integration?
Well, yes. and we had our own. We supported our own, and it was forced because of the fact that they wouldn't allow us to, live in or stay in their hotels, eat at their restaurants, shop at their stores. And if we did, we had to go to the back door in some of those instances. But when we did thrive, when we were successful, when we were minding our own business, they couldn't take it.
Mm-hmm.
And so they couldn't stand to get out of our way and let us thrive and survive and do what we were doing. So they had to concoct some stories, narratives to try to justify bombing a group of people like they did, including the government, the police, law enforcement, bombing these people and destroying all of their businesses and their hotels and their homes, that they were living in this multi-million-dollar, at that time, even during segregation, even during Jim Crow South, they were living in this affluent area because they were supporting their own, and they were destroyed. They weren't destroyed from within. They were destroyed from without.
They were trying to tell us that you do not have the power. How dare you think that you're equal to us?
So my point is at some point when you talk about those individuals that are could rise up and take their rightful place in today's society, I think about the gentleman, the pastor, Martin Niemöller. I don't know if y'all, I'm sure y'all heard this. It says, first they came for the communists.
Oh, yeah.
And I did not speak out
Yeah.
because I was not a communist. Then they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, but I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me,
and there was nobody,
and there was no one left to speak out for me. And so I think about these individuals, these federal workers. A lot of them African American, a lot of them had their good government jobs for 20, 30, 40 years. And I know somebody I just talked to the other day, worked for the CDC for like 25, 30 years. And because of an executive order and a decision by Doge, Elon Musk, they were out of a job effective immediately. I'm talking about no more first and 15th checks, no more benefits, no more insurance. They are no longer employed as they were. So their life and their livelihood, their quality of life, should I say, and their standard of living was immediately impacted.
That's what they voted for.
That's my point, though, is at some point, now you're concerned. Now you're worried. Now it's important to you because it's impacting you. But who gonna speak up for you now? You didn't speak up for the less than, those that needed you to speak up for them because you had your good cush job.
Jeff, you had people that look like us, males, who just couldn't find themselves to vote for a black woman. They couldn't find themselves.
Who couldn't find
I'm not even, I'm not gonna go to the women. I'm gonna stick with what I know. I've been a man all my life, a black man. There have been people that look like us who will look you in the face and will refuse to vote for it. And some of them named deacon this, some of them named pastor this. They will not vote for a black woman for whatever reason.
Well, it's not just a black woman. Hold on, Goodwill. It wasn't just a black woman because they didn't vote for Hillary either.
Look,
so it wasn't just.
All I'm talking
Kamala
about.
Harris.
All I'm talking about is that they had this felon, orange person. Still don't know if he's an alien or human. And you had a sister who worked. Now, mind you, we can talk about she didn't get the votes before and she made it. We can talk about all that. But I'm tired of listening to these so-called pundits want to blame it on the president, blame it on this. Look, you had folks who made a decision. And I'm just trying to narrow down and talk about the ones who look like us who were male. Now, there were other ones, of course. And of course, they didn't, what you're trying to say is people who look like us didn't turn the tide. You're right.
Exactly.
But
we're only 13%.
But let's start. But we got to start with somebody.
Well, okay. I'm not going. Well, we're not just going to blame black men for this.
Well, why not?
Well, why are we just going to point the finger at black men?
Because I'm a black man, I can do that. I'm not going to talk about anybody else.
I understand.
I'm going to talk about black men.
But you can't solely say it was black men.
I didn't say solely. I didn't say solely.
But why are we putting the point of the finger at black men?
Here we go.
Solely.
Let's put it this way. Let me change the narrative.
Okay, please.
Southern University. Okay, my fraternity hazed this person, messed it up for all the Divine Nine. Now, on that campus and everywhere, everyone rushed their lines. Now, I can say that I had a conversation with two past Paul Monks of Kappa Alpha Psi. I could talk about all the fraternities who do Hays. I could talk about you, because I know what you went through.
Don't hate.
Young man.
We're non-Hays organization.
I pledged in 87, so watch out. But I'm going to choose to talk about my fraternity because I'm a Q.
Right.
I'm going to talk about black men because I'm a black man. And if I want to talk about black men, don't change down and say I got to talk about everyone else. No, let me stick with what I can control or think I control, and then move. I ain't about to tell no woman, especially a black woman, what she should I do. I got a wife. But
how is it African American men's responsibility and fault that Kamala Harris is not the president of the United States?
I'm just saying
you got to hold people accountable.
Well, I understand that, but why are we just holding black men accountable? Only 21% of voters in the 2024 election that were black men, 21% voted for Donald Trump.
Let me
look at the number. No, look at the numbers for Asians, for white men, for Hispanic men. 54% of Hispanic men voted for Donald Trump.
Listen, I never said that they were bad. I said that's what they voted for, and I said they chose not to vote for. It could have been that she might have. I'm not going to even get into it. I voted for her. All I'm saying.
But we can't just say it was because she was a black woman.
No.
What if it was, because there are a lot of people, no, we cannot. Because there were a lot of things that black men were saying that were not supporting the Democratic candidate.
I'm going to do
and the Democratic position, not for a black woman. I don't know. I have never heard. I'm in the barbershops. I'm in the highways and the byways, and I ain't never heard the multitude of black men saying, I'm not voting for Kamala Harris because she's a black woman.
So let me tell you something. One, I heard that, but two, let me take, and this is one of the things I want to get to when you talk about what we need to do. We need to model out the people that we don't want to model up. We got Jews, we need to model to that. So this is what Trump says. It may be true, it may not. I don't know. It's worth looking into. It may be true, maybe not. I don't know, but it's worth looking into. It may be true, it may not. I don't know, but it's worth looking into. And that is what I say. That's what I'm gonna say for everything from now on. We talking about these folks. Watch what you can talk about, but he's very successful.
Who?
Trump is.
No, he's not. How is he successful? Successful at what?
He wanted to be president, and the man is president.
Twice.
The man got bankrupt how many times?
5.
And he's still a millionaire. The man said he was not going to have his taxes revealed, and he lied, and he did not.
And that makes him a success? That's what we look to as successful?
No.
Hold on. That's our gold standard of success.
He got a goal. Listen, I'm not saying you have to like success. Hell, a top drug dealer is successful. Don't mean I like to sell drugs. I'm against
it. Is he really successful?
If he had a goal.
Frank Lucas was successful to an extent.
Yeah, his season was over.
He was successful until he wasn't. And then when he got caught, then he lost everything. So is he truly successful?
Well,
did he have temporary success or temporary
I got two things to answer.
Satisfaction?
According to you, no, but apparently to some people because we're still talking about him. Now, all I'm saying is that it's just like in life. We got to look at certain things instead of trying to just kind of not look at it. I'm saying that, you know what? This is what Trump says all the time. It may be true. It may be not. I don't know. He'll throw a lie. No, it's a lie. It may be true. It may not. But it's worth looking into. That's all I'm saying.
And that makes him successful.
No.
In your eyes.
Two different things. So you just asked a question. And I put it to bed. You said, why should we blame black? I said, I'm not. I said, it may be true, it may not be true. So in other words, it may be true, it may not be true, but it's worth looking into. You cannot say it's not worth looking into, especially what we're talking about because it's more valid than what Trump says.
Okay, but hold on. I agree with you. We can look into it.
No, don't agree with me.
Well, hold on.
It may be true, it may not be true.
Hold on, wait a minute.
Look into it.
My thing, Goodwill, is have you looked into it? Because you made a statement and you said no.
See, that's a scary
you did
thing.
not.
That's a scary thing.
Okay, tell me where did you? I want to hear where you got that information from.
I want to say one thing. As a man, as an African American man, One of the things I'm making a point is to understand my emotional IQ and things of that nature. And what we're doing right now, I don't want to do. And we have to let this sister talk.
Well, hold on. Hold on. Wait a minute.
The whole hour go by, and the bros be arguing.
I hear what you're saying, but last time I checked, I'm the host of this show.
Yes, you are.
So if I want to talk about this,
suggestion, it may be
we're
true,
going to
it may
talk
not
about
be,
this.
but it's worth looking into.
What you just said may be true, and it may not be true,
but it's worth looking into.
But we definitely getting into this, and we're going to continue to talk about this. Now, if you want to chime in on this, Miss Christina, please chime in. Go right ahead.
Y'all are good. I need y'all to finish.
No, go right ahead. I want to hear.
Impact.
I want to hear your perspective on this.
I feel like we have to hold the people around us accountable who we can reach. And if the people who you can reach and who you can reach are black men, hold them accountable.
But how does one hold a black man accountable when we make an assumption that they voted a particular way or did something because of a particular reason?
And I want to correct you. I'm not saying they need to be held accountable because that assumes I'm saying they're wrong. I never at any time said that they were wrong for making a choice that they had. I just stated a point. I just stated a data point. Now, I was kidding around with what Trump said, but we know the data point. He spit the data. He said a certain percentage, but his argument was that he cannot just hold them as the only reason why she lost. And I wasn't. What you said is cool, but I'm not going to get into the discussion to divide ourselves of whether they're right or wrong. Maybe there was something that caused them not to. But I believe, though, where you're getting to is that there is a large segment of African-American men, just like there's a large segment of white men and white women who are not going to vote for an African-American woman. Now, Obama won, is an African-American man. Okay, he won. But something
Twice.
Twice even.
So did Trump.
Okay. But there is a group of people who would vote for a felon, a liar, a racist, all kinds of things that are negative in what I think versus another qualified person who happens to be an African-American woman. And I'm aware of African-American men who did not, who have told me that they would not.
Okay.
Did not vote for her or
Yes.
did not vote at all.
No, that's another thing.
But
Did not vote for her.
help me. Well, what kind of you're a legal scholar.
They tell me.
And you know that they do polling. But my question is, where is your litmus test? What is your group of individuals that you asked this question to come up with this statement that the reason that the majority of black men didn't vote for Kamala Harris was because she was a black woman? I'm looking at the data here. These are the national exit polls, right? And I want everybody to understand these are the true facts and figures of what happened in the 2024 election by race. All right, by race/gender. All right, white men voted for the Republican, Donald J. Trump, 60%. White men. Hispanic men voted for Donald J. Trump, 54%. All other races of men, Asian, Indian, etc., 47% voted for Donald J. Trump. Black men, 21%. Now, we look at that figure and be like, oh, wow, 21%. But if you look at it in comparison to all of the other races that voted, and only 5% of the overall electorate were black men. All right, so we're just talking about who moved the needle here. Now, let's look at the women. White women voted 46% 53% for Donald Trump. Hear me out. 53% of white women voted for Donald J. Trump. 39% of Latino women voted for Donald Trump. All other races, 47%, and black women, 7%. So black women held it down when it came to, they were 7% of the overall electorate. So combined, African-American men and African-American women made up only 12% of the overall electorate.
You know where can I suggest that, I got to watch my words.
No, don't watch him. Don't watch him.
I think there may very well be a flaw in your analysis.
In my analysis.
In what you're saying.
Okay, let's talk about it. Yeah, let's talk about this.
So first of all, what you're talking about, statistical analysis, not had nothing to do with legal or anything like that. And if, for me, one of the things I would look at is you asked a very good question, though, that can't be ignored about how many people did not vote. So unfortunately, I'm not prepared for that, but I want to know that's significant. That actually, if added to this conversation, it really just changes it. I also think we're running down a rabbit hole with this conversation, but to continue it, I want to say that
I was second.
That you're helping.
No.
Run.
That when you look at, I would look at the electorate and the breakdown from the last election when Biden ran, and look and see how they voted, okay, and then look at that and look at it again at this time, so you can really see. For example, and I don't know this. Okay, it may be true, it may not be, but it'd be worth looking into. So you said 50% of white women, right?
53.
53. So if 53% of white women or even more voted for Trump, or voted for Biden, or voted for Trump, and Biden still won, then that 54% would not have mattered. They still would have voted. But if the 21%, if the black vote would have changed, and that difference would cause it, which I don't think.
It wouldn't have, because he won.
I don't know.
He won all of the electoral votes that were significant in the swing states.
No, not in swing, but he won it in the blue states.
No, what I'm saying, I'm saying that the swing states that they were looking at, Pennsylvania's, the Wisconsins, the Michigans, the Floridas, the Georgias.
They're swing states now, but they were not.
The Arizonas. What I'm saying is going into November's election of 2024. Yeah. Those states were significant because if she would have won those particular states, then she would have won the presidency. She did not. And it wasn't because of this 21% of black men, is all I'm saying.
What I'm saying is, in comparison, if you have to look at what was the difference to determine if it made a difference.
Okay, this is what I'm going to do, because we got to go to a break and toss it real quick to our trusted.
About commercials, too.
Yeah, we got, of course, Ms. Danette Davis, who's about to share some words, but I'm gonna pull up the information from the 2020 election and look at the numbers as to who voted for who in the 2020 election as well as the 2016 election. Let's toss it over to you, Ms. Danette Davis. We'll be right back, y'all.
Oh my goodness, ooh-wee, boy, whoever thought this would have become the conversation it's become. But we've got even some more interesting stuff here. You guys know Sharon Murphy?
Yeah.
Sharon Murphy's an audience member. And no, Sharon, you can come up here and say that. Sharon said, I got a correction for all y'all.
So I think I'm right on this. Collectively in the swing states, Donald Trump only won by all the swing states 100,000 votes. Is that correct?
Yeah, very little.
Huh?
It was very little, yeah.
Yeah. So basically, 100,000 votes over how many swing states are there? Like 8 or 9?
I don't know who's on internet. Look it up.
Well.
I think that's statistically correct. So what that means is if just a few.
So we're gonna blame black men again? Okay, go ahead. Black men is the reason that Donald Trump is the president.
I didn't blame black men. What? No. But basically, a few more votes in every swing state would have totally changed the outcome of the race. That's what I want to say. And you can fact check me on if collectively on all the swing states.
It may be true.
It may be true. It may be not. I think it's true.
But it's worth looking into.
Collectively on the swing states, she only lost by 100,000 votes. That's what I wanted.
All right. Okay. And she was so moved that she had to say that, and I don't know, I'm a black female, like, you guys are black males, and we feel some kind of way a little bit.
We do.
About the way it turned out with Kamala. We felt like we didn't get what we needed, what have you. And there were different reasons, Jeff, I heard. But, this wasn't supposed to just be about this conversation tonight, but it's gone there. And since we're here, I bet you that other folk have had this very same conversation. Because a lot of black men felt some kind of way about Kamala for different reasons. That's real. I mean, I've heard some comments, you know, Jeff, really, I have.
I just get tired of black men getting blamed for everything. That's wrong with society. But we'll talk about that another day. We're going to get back to this DEI conversation when we come back.
That's what we always
okay.
do, so why don't we just go ahead and stop trying to not?
Okay.
Go ahead.
I am. I'm in the break.
So we
first of all, what I want y'all to do, and I'm having a good time, and I hope you are, what I want you to do, though, is pull out your phones. And what we've not been doing is asking you guys to subscribe. We're live and we're streaming on what is it? YouTube. You can find us on the trendingtuesdays.com. I need you to subscribe and like or what have you, because it matters. So if you can do that for us, we'd appreciate that. We're going to start there. And then, Avery, you got a little something. I mean, y'all started talking about some stuff, and I thought, Pierre, Goodwill, I thought we were going to talk about your event also at the county.
Yeah.
We are going to get to it. Okay, no, I'm just saying, because what we did was, if you know, today is April 8th, and we went by and visited a very good friend of ours, Commissioner Rodney Ellis's birthday party, and we've got a little segment that he stopped in the middle of his party to say to us, because he thought it was very important. So do you have that for us, Avery?
So much stuff will go on. Look.
Yeah, she wanted to say, are you so close?
Right, yeah.
About that.
There we are. Tonight? Good. You know, actually, tonight. Small
Just say something down right
Yeah. Hello, I'm Rodney Ellis. That MWBE program is working. We got to protect it, and we need to encourage the school districts and community colleges to follow suit. And we need to encourage the city of Houston to protect that program and keep it in
It looks like I don't know.
So much
it was a little delayed, but for you, that I understand exactly what he said. He said, you know, Rodney Ellis is commissioner in Harris County, and he takes all of the things that he do very seriously. He has been a partner of K. Davis in the Community Foundation, which is our foundation that is, you know, at the root of what you see here, or whatever, because we feel like the community is at the root of everything that we do, because it's who we are. And when I say the community, it's the community, and it's collective, right? Mm-hmm. But what he stopped in the middle of his birthday fundraiser to do was say that his MWBE program is working. That's what he was saying. And he said, I hope that the city of Houston will follow suit and do what we're doing. This is what he stopped to say, knowing that we were going to do it and broadcast it on the podcast. But he's never been afraid to say how he feels about things and support the community that he comes from. You guys who know him know that we're in Sunnyside. It's where our studio is, and this is where he grew up. Mm-hmm. And he's never stopped to say that, you know, it matters. So I wanted to do that, and it's his birthday. So I had everybody pass Vicky. Vicky Pink is up there with her camera. And for those of you who are in the room, for all the pictures you see, Vicky had an event here not too long ago. We left some of her paintings up. So what you see of Vicky's painting, so take a look as you walk around. But we want to toast. We want to say happy birthday to him. I appreciate him doing that. Yeah, I thought my daughter would be here. I said they share the same birthday, which is April 8th, so I wanted to toss. Happy birthday to Chelsea. Her name is Chelsea Jenkins. She's my daughter. We want to say happy birthday to the both of them in this night. I appreciate the audience that's here, and I appreciate my guests. You guys are just phenomenal. I can't say thank you enough, Jeff. So now, after we're done, Chef Eddie's over there, cooking his tail off, so that you'll have something really nice to eat, and you can have a little bit more conversation after we're done, or what have you. But for now, Jeff, I'm going to toss it back.
Happy birthday, Commissioner Ellis and Chelsea. All right, we're back, y'all. We got our live studio audience. We're here at Trending Tuesdays in Sunnyside, Houston, Texas. Y'all make some noise for real. Oh, that's what I'm talking about. I want to thank everybody for being engaged and for such a lively discussion on this evening, for sure. Definitely enjoy these types of conversations. Of course, we have, some outstanding guests. We have Miss Christina Cornelius with HGAC, and we have J. Goodwill Pierre. And, of course, we're here at the K. Davis Showroom Plus. I want to thank Miss Sharon Murphy. I did look that up, Miss Murphy, and it was the three. You were correct in that 3 of the swing states, which are Michigan,
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania, were decided by around 121,000 votes. Well, it may be true.
May not be true. It's worth looking into.
But it's worth looking into. All right. All right, let's jump into.
That's that Trump comment.
Right.
It's gonna be stuck in my head.
I know, right? Let's talk about this upcoming event you have. Looks like it's the Harris County Department of Economic Equity and Opportunity. Can you talk about this upcoming event? And
Yes,
since we're
thank
talking
you.
about DEI initiatives.
Yes, thank you. So the Harris County Commissioners Court approved the grant. They offered it to several people to put on several events from Pathways to Prime. You could, and I won the grant to do the, what I do best, and that was the giant procurement event, the whole community for the whole day. And so April 17th at the Harris County Department of Education from 9 to 4 is the Session Business presents the Pathways to Prime MWBE Procurement Forum and Empowerment Workshops. We're going to have banks. We have about 8 banks and CDFIs there. We're going to have an MWBE forum, so you can talk about what they did to go from subs to primes. We're going to have primes to talk about what they look for in subs and how do you get in. We're going to have resource tables and everything like that. I just invited Christine to be there.
It's on my calendar already.
Yep. Oh, you already have it on the calendar?
My team is coming.
Okay, great. See, so something that marketing does well. But it's it's been my passion for at least 25 years. I just started just kind of doing it. That's my midlife crisis. Just do a lot of outreach events to try to really empower economically people who look like me, as well as those who serve people who look like me. And that's one of my 3 pillars that I do, economic justice. And so the event next week, I had a kind of resurgence. I'm putting something out with hashtag We Are MWEs, hashtag MWE Strong, because I want to make a statement. I want 1,000 people to register, 700 people there, and I want to show the world that you can do whatever you want to with this alphabet soup. We're not going anywhere. We're here. And while I do believe this is a reset, that we should not rely on things that people created to make our lives equal, I do believe that we should never allow someone to take what we rightfully earned and deserve because we built this country, is snatched from us. Make it better, but don't say that it's reverse racism, things like that. You're thinking that we're not here and working our butts off, especially when you get down demographically. I don't want to get into fighting with Latinos versus Anglos versus Asians. I think that is a red herring. I believe that 1,000 people registering and showing up and packing that place, making a statement that we are minority women business entrepreneurs and we are going to stay. And you can remove the word if you want to. Don't mean we're going to be gone.
Right. Christina, talk about what you do, because I know that you empower small businesses and others as well with your roles.
So at HGAC, I manage the team of small business lenders. So we have 3 different loan products, one specifically for Fort Bend County. We have another revolving loan fund for anyone in the state of Texas, and then we do SBA 504 loans.
I'm a 504 attorney. I just got registered 2 weeks ago in Louisiana.
You see how we put people together on Trending
Yes.
Yes.
Are you going to DC?
No, I'm going not. No. I already went to. I paid enough money for that. I have no more money.
So what the SBA 504 loan allows is for real estate and heavy equipment. And we partner with banks and the actual business owner to put together the funding package to be able to further their business. In addition, we are building out a technical assistance program, and we'll be partnering with the SBDC and some of the other organizations that already provide one-on-one training to business owners.
So for those that don't know what these acronyms mean, SBDC is Small Business Development Center?
Center, yes.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
Just want to make sure.
So what I'm passionate about is making an impact, helping who I can, when I can, how I can. So I'm blessed to be able to do that with financially through this role. also been able to make an impact and provide opportunities for housing. We have a young professional home ownership network, which is really hoping to bridge the gap between Gen Z and millennials and baby boomers when it comes to home ownership. We are doing home buying education classes for free, which they're usually $50. We have some amazing programs like a match secure credit card, where we will match the deposit that someone needs for a credit card to be able to build their credit. We have a match savings program that money that they're saving while they're trying to prepare to buy a house.
Do you help people with bad credit?
Yes. You want to know how?
No. Just do you help people with bad credit?
We do help people
like,
with bad
like
credit.
Under 640, yeah.
Wow, I don't think under 640 is considered bad credit these days. It's not good credit, but it's not bad.
Yeah.
It's fair. It's fair.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
I don't know if it's true.
I don't know if it's not. It's worth looking into.
But yeah, so we help our clients individually. Whatever their challenge is, we develop a plan for them and we help them through the process. Just because you're not ready to purchase a home right now, or maybe you're not ready to get a loan, a 504 loan right now, we meet you where you are and help you take advantage of the resources and put you on the right path. And then you get to come back and we accomplish that goal.
What made you get into this work?
God, I don't know.
That's the answer. God.
I don't know. So I started off in retail banking, and I did that for a few years. And then my dad got sick. I lost my job. I thought my life was over. I was like 23. And I started working for my uncle and his business partner. And his business partner kind of took me under his wing. And I opened the market for a nonprofit here. I did that for 2 years, was kind of stagnant, kind of felt stuck. And so his business partner said, hey, I got you this job. Show up here. First day, I didn't know what was going on. I'm like, I'm gonna get fired. I'm not qualified.
DEI?
It really might have been. But that opened the door to economic development. And I love economic development. It brings together all of the pieces of things I'm passionate about: government, community, and business. So I've worked on public-private partnerships. I've managed TERS boards. I have activated management districts. So finding the puzzle pieces to help communities thrive is what I'm passionate about. So all of those things are puzzle pieces. Our loan program at HGAC, the housing program at Fifth Ward, the TERS out here in Sunnyside, they're all pieces of a puzzle to help us thrive.
Great job.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
You know, I'm curious. I've been involved in this a long time, but I've never known, and this is where back to the question about the community. So yes, I'm a lawyer and I kind of know this because I'm in with you, Jeff, and everything like that. But how does a regular business owner, let's just stick there, let's just go anywhere, how does a regular everyday mom and pop business owner, the drywall person, the fuel distributor, how do they know about these things? And is there like a membership to be part of HGAC and all that? Like what? How do you get the word out to them?
So that is my big task at HGAC. So HGAC is a council of governments. It's really, really large. I like to explain it like a chamber for governments, but there's a lot of different legs. So some people have heard about the Livable Center study. Some people have heard about the area on aging or workforce solutions. That's all under HGAC. Enterprise Solutions is its own branch. We're kind of like the unicorn of the organization because we bring in our own money through loans and through our HGAC Buy program. What I'm tasked with is to rebrand our economic development and business development practices, if you will, and show up to events like the one on the 17th and say, this is who we are, this is what we do, and this is how we can help. And my team is going a step further in investigating what are those professional organizations. So I have a list of probably 300 professional organizations that I have myself researched, put on a spreadsheet, and my team, we're breaking it down to go introduce us to those organizations. So who might need a facility, like who might need a real estate loan. It might be a doctor, it might be a dentist. We're just going through the industry list to really trying to push the word out there.
And let me tell you, I've been on the board of the Houston Galveston Area Council for about 4 years now, and it's such an amazing organization, one of the most respected councils of governments across the United States. This 2024, our budgeted revenue was over $550 million, and these are dollars that we directly impact the communities with in 13 counties across the region. And these are just some of the programs that HGAC offers that a lot of people don't know about. So it's a great question that you ask, because people need to know about HGAC. Most of these funds are federal funded. And so we're really concerned because of these executive orders and some of the things that the current president is doing, because they're trying to, not even trying, they're canceling contracts and monies that were already approved and allotted for programs. And some of these programs, many of which, such as she mentioned the Agency on Aging, many of these economic development programs, community planning and support services, they have a target for underserved communities and underrepresented. And so, one of the things that the president is saying is you can't use certain words in these grants and in these contracts, such as women, such as black, such as Hispanic, such as
underserved,
such as at risk. So a lot of these particular programs that HGAC does a wonderful job of providing Meals on Wheels and different other services to our seniors in our vulnerable populations, women who are dealing with domestic violence situations. There's so many things, emergency preparedness and disaster recovery, you name it. I mean, public safety, regional data services, broadband. There's so many things that we're focused on, and a lot of these rural areas, a lot of these underserved areas are going to be negatively impacted because of these decisions coming out of D.C. By this president, thinking that he's attacking one particular group, but it's actually impacting everybody, including white women, white people, white poor, or at risk. They're at risk as well because, for a variety of reasons.
So average person just shows up to meetings and just kind of just make themselves known. They just
the average person will show up to like a Workforce Solutions because they're looking for a job. And you see Workforce Solutions and you don't think HGAC.
Well, I hired 2 of my folks from Workforce.
But when it comes to small business, if they want to try to take advantage of HGAC services, you can call Christina. You can go to the website. You can reach out and contact anyone there and find out what services, opportunities are available to them, because there are small business empowerment type of programs, such as the revolving loan fund, which is underutilized, I would venture to say.
It is extremely underutilized.
And so there's so many opportunities that, not just with HGAC, but with a lot of the services out here. You mentioned SBDC. I know UH has one. Score. There's so many opportunities for people to take advantage of the things. So it's not a shortage of access and information. I know you host, and I know you've done it here in Missouri City, where I serve, the small business event that you do annually for us. And, tons of vendors, but the turnout is not as robust as it should be. But it's not that it's not being offered,
Right.
And so we want people to take advantage if they're small businesses. Can't blame DEI or what Trump is doing on the fact that you're not being resourceful yourself with what's available to you that currently is out there. Let's not focus on what he may do. Let's focus on what's already in place and what you can do to benefit, as a business to grow and scale up.
And we're still writing grants, but they're taking away money and we're still applying for money to be able to help, so.
And I want to just say one last thing before we toss it over to Danette again, and as we close, I want to thank Goodwill, Pierre. I'm, for many of you who don't know, I'm city councilman in Missouri City, and one of the things that I wanted to do when I first joined in 2017 is I advocated for a disparity study to be done, because I knew we weren't giving black folks contracts and others, particularly African Americans. but I couldn't prove it because they were like, well, Jeff, you're just, saying that we have a small business program, yada, yada, yada. But it had no teeth in it. And so I knew the only way that you can prove something to some people, you got to have the data. It may be true, it may not be true. This is the facts. This is the data.
Let's look into it.
Yeah, but we looked into it eventually because I serve on the board. I've been a part of the National League of Cities, and I'm chair this year of our Community Economic Development. But we work with the administration for public policy, and so we were responsible for the CARES Act as well as the American Rescue Plan. Why am I saying this? Well, one of the things that I said is we can use COVID and what the response to COVID, because we need to see what happened prior to COVID and since COVID with small businesses. Well, I was really more looking at black businesses. Mm-hmm. How were black businesses impacted, right? Mm-hmm. So we worked into and I made sure we worked into the opportunities for us to retrieve and use these federal dollars once they were allotted directly to us.
And I wrote it.
Is to do a disparity study or use the money's federal dollars for a disparity study, because everybody would always say, well, we don't have the money, Jeff. Do you want to put money towards streets and sidewalks, or do you want to put it towards a disparity study? Well, of course, I want to fix streets and sidewalks and take care of the direct needs of the citizens before I do a disparity study, but I want a disparity study. So it was about $100,000. Cost. So I was like, how are we going to do it? So we got the money, and first thing I advocated for is for us to do a disparity study. And so Goodwill, as a consultant with another firm, conducted that disparity study for the city of Missouri City. And when those numbers came back, they were abysmal, as I already knew. But now we had the data. Again, it may be true, it may not be true. We'll look into it. The data is now here, and now we're looking at it straightway. And so now we're working towards a program eventually, or some mechanism as to how we address the disparities that African American businesses and others are experiencing as it relates to contracting in Missouri City. Do you know how many black folks got contracts with construction in Missouri City and major professional services over $100,000? Zero. 0%. Not 0.9, not 1.3, not 3.4, zero. Not one business. And we're talking about millions and millions of dollars. And this was only from a prime, as a prime contractor. No, not sub. Okay. As a prime contractor, but even with the subs, it was abysmal. Yeah. So bottom line, black folks wasn't getting contracts. Mm-hmm. And so how do you address it? First, you have to acknowledge it, and now we have the data to do it. And so that's what Commissioner Ellis, and that's what other efforts, that's why we need to protect and support the MWBE program in Houston, and we need to make sure that other programs that are in place are not impacted, because although African Americans still have a long way to go and have not been able to take advantage of these programs as I would like to have seen, there are many that are able to continue to hire people, create jobs, keep jobs, maintain jobs because of these efforts and initiatives. So I think that's important.
See, but I wanted to, you bring a good point that we actually talked about earlier, how, when we had the programs and certain things we're not doing. Well, people forget that before this current City of Houston disparity study that came out that people are just tripping on, there was another one that I was on with another consulting group, and the administration chose not to let it out. I was also on a Metro disparity study that was done. Metro decided not to let it out. The Fort Bend one is delayed, and you're doing it, but it's not delayed. Now, the facts are that there's case law that shows that when cities do disparity studies, and either they adopt it but they don't act on it, and it shows that a particular ethnic group does not have disparity, people that don't look like us, white people, certain group, most likely Pacific Legal Foundation, would sue to demand that they do what the disparity study says and not do that. The opposite happens, and certain cities don't want to put it out, or black folks are not going to do that. Why? Because our friends work at Metro. I know this person's husband, he's a minister somewhere. Or I can't do that to the mayor because they'll be mad. White people do not care about who's mad at them. They will sue in a minute. There are 2 lawsuits from the Pacific Legal Foundation with the same contractor against the city of Houston in 2023, and also one in February. I told you about that. But no one said anything to Metro. And I love everyone at Metro, but it's not about the individuals. No one from HMSDC, no one from the Greater Houston Black Chamber, no one from any other chamber in which Pacific Legal Foundation as an organization have a group of people which have standing. Well, I'm a member of the Black Chamber. I have standing. I have standing because I'm a member, and if they succeed in giving an MWB program, I'll be directly affected. That is standing. But what it is that we've been relying on these things, but we have not been taught how to intervene in a lawsuit. We have not been taught how to understand what standing is, things of that nature. We're nervous. Hell, the people on the board to make decisions don't want to do anything because they don't want to lose their contracts. I'm a member of the Airport Minority Advisory Council, and we voted to intervene, but it was by 1 vote. I'm glad it, now either way, my duty of loyalty will accept it either way, but I'm telling you, people are concerned, rightfully so, about their jobs. Because everyone around us, the people that fund us are the same people that we want to say, you know what I mean, that got rid of DEI programs. So we're back to where we started, Jeffrey, is that it's a reset, and a much needed reset, because we've been relying. I'm not saying we should just give up, like you suggested, stop trying. I don't agree with that. I think we can chew gum and walk at the same time.
That's not what I was trying to communicate.
I thought it was. It may be true, it may not be true.
It ain't true.
Yeah.
Why don't you clarify for him what you were saying?
In terms of like focusing on our community?
No, we're trying to catch up, and I think we should stop trying. That's
No.
what, oh, okay.
No.
Okay.
No, I will never stop trying.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
All right, so we got that clear.
Got that clear.
So
Yeah.
now that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
That's true.
That's
You can
100%
quote
true.
me.
All right, well, listen, I know. I mean, I could have this conversation with you all
Yes.
night long, and I really wish we could, but we got to get up out of here, and the time is
already?
upon us. Yes, and so I think Ms. Danette Davis wants to share a few words. Let's give it up for our audience, y'all, for hanging in there.
Are we
Let's
hot?
give it up for our guests, Jay Goodwill Pierre
One plug.
and Christina Cornelius. Before we toss it over to Danette, how can people find out more about what you do? How can they reach you? Is there an email or website?
I'll give my my personal email. It's Christina@weventures.llc, WEVENTURES.LLC. My plug is this Saturday is the Lyons Avenue Renaissance Festival in 5th Ward. The Nickel. It is a phenomenal festival. This year's theme is Zydeco, so please come out and bring your family, bring your friends.
All right, when is this again?
It is this Saturday, April 12th at noon.
At noon. All right, and one more time about the event.
April 17th from 9 to 4 at the Harris County Department of Education. You can go online and register at www.successinbusiness.org. Hit the events tab and register. I want 1,000 people to register. I want the fire engine to come and say, hey, we have a fire hazard.
You're over capacity. All right, let's give it up for
my
him, y'all.
goodness.
Let's toss it over to Danette.
Oh, wow. Oh, let's clap. Can we? I mean, you guys, we expected that, Jeff, you guys went there, you a mess. Goodwill, I mean, who knew? I mean, geez. So we want to say thank you to you, the guests. You guys brought a wealth of information and a lot of truth, right, Jeff?
Oh, yeah.
And our audience, Sharon said, y'all not going to invite her back. That's a no, Sharon, no. Everybody knows Sharon Murphy. She's with a large, one of the largest black financial firms or what have you in this region. So she's invested, or what have you. Now, what I want to do, since you guys, I know you went through and did you subscribe, I wanted to introduce you to the chef because we're going to do a little, I guess, intermingling. I guess we're going to do a little networking after or what have you. But he's got something he's prepared, and I want him to share with you what you can expect.
Hello, everyone. My name is Chef Eddie. Welcome to our abode. Tonight's menu selection is a unique specialty of mine called Turkey Neck Soup 2.0. And when it changes, it'll get another iteration, 3.0. Right now I'm on 2.0, and it seems to be holding up pretty well. So it consists of turkey necks with a lot of different root herbs, vegetables, turnips, and oh God, everything. So that's amazing soup. And then we're going to have some organic jasmine rice as a side item for you. We also have some baked chicken livers with onions, organic chicken livers. And then I did a specialty organic sauteed okra. So you're going to get the best of both worlds, sometimes three worlds. So something for everyone's a vegan, and those of us that are carnivores, enjoy. Also, we have some infused water with lemon and rosemary as well for you guys. So enjoy.
One of the things I always forget to say, if you like the food, tip the chef. Lauren has a sign there or what have you. And so I always forget to say that or whatever, so we can always encourage him and his organic goodies, what have you. So we're going to go. Thank you. We've had a wonderful time, Jeff. Till next time.
Yes, indeed.
Amen.
Until next time. We'll holler
right.
at y'all. Trending Tuesdays, y'all.
Peace
We're
out.
out of here.
5 minutes, y'all. 5 minutes.
All right. Thanks.
I didn't know I needed a rough shirt.
Huh?
A rough shirt.
What's that?
Referee.
This is rough. Now you're from Chicago?
I'm from Chicago.
I'm going to be in Chicago for National Bar
You
Association.
can have that one
Nice.
for somebody else. All right.
I'll be in New York for fun.
Oh, really?
I'm going to go see the Denzel play, and then George Clooney has a play as well. So we're going for a short week.